5 years after prosecutors began investigating his finances, 3 years after the laptop from hell was discovered, and 2 years after he published a memoir detailing his illegal drug abuse, and federal prosecutors have indicted the president's son Hunter Biden on 3 gun charges.
These are significant charges with significant potential jail time.
The president's son is, of course, entitled to the presumption of innocence, but the charges do vindicate critics of a sweetheart plea deal cut in June by U.S. Attorney David Weiss. That fell apart the moment it was put in front of federal judge Mary Ellen Noreika.
The last thing you want is the judge to start questioning the credibility of the lawyers or your position in court.
Under that deal, Hunter Biden had been set to plead guilty to 2 tax misdemeanors. The gun crime would ultimately have been dropped under a diversion agreement. Hunter would have spent no time in jail and received immunity from further prosecution.
Part of the obligation of the court is to make sure that the defendant and the government are very clear on what the agreement means, and they weren't.
Following the deal's collapse, details of what had led to the initial deal leaked to the press. That included a quote published in Politico from one of Hunter's attorneys to U.S. Attorney David Weiss, pointing out that President Biden now unquestionably would be a fact witness for the defense in any criminal trial.
I'm here today to announce the appointment of David Weiss as a special counsel.
Following Mr. Garland's announcement, Mr. Weiss filed 3 felony counts he was previously willing to plead away. And Hunter's legal team has had the gall to suggest that Hunter is the victim of political meddling.
What changed? Not the facts, not the law. But we have seen over the last 6 weeks, the politics have certainly influenced the outcome.
The September 14 indictment lays out 3 federal firearms charges. Count 1 for giving a false and fictitious written statement in a firearm purchase. Count 2 for giving a false statement related to information required to be kept by a federal firearms license dealer. And count 3, possessing a firearm while unlawfully using any stimulant, narcotic drug, and any other controlled substance.
They've known all the facts about Hunter's possession of a gun for years, and the law that is being applied has only gotten to the point where the statute has been held to be unconstitutional.
As to the tax investigation, IRS whistleblowers Gary Shapley and Joseph Ziegler said back in July in testimony that felony counts had been recommended.
The assigned prosecutors, all 4 attorneys, agreed to recommend felony and misdemeanor charges for the 2017, 18, and 19 tax years.
There's also the fact that Hunter Biden never registered under the Foreign Agents Registration Act while he was working for Ukrainian energy giant Burisma. Trump associates were charged under this statute, and it isn't clear why Hunter hasn't been.
I am confident that Mr. Weiss will carry out his responsibility in an even-handed and urgent manner, and in accordance with the highest traditions of this department.
The gun charges against Hunter Biden deserve to be tried on their merits, but it certainly doesn't absolve David Weiss or his bosses at Justice of undermining public confidence in equal justice.